The desert did not forgive mistakes. It stretched endlessly under the late afternoon sun, a sea of sand and stone where the wind erased tracks as quickly as it made them. Heat shimmered above the ground like a living thing, bending the horizon until the world itself seemed uncertain. Out here, men learned quickly that mercy was rare, water rarer still. Ethan Cole knew this land better than most. He had been riding since dawn, checking fence lines along the far edge of his ranch, where the soil turned hard and red and the grass grew thin. His horse, a calm sorrel gelding named Boone, moved with steady patience, ears flicking at every sound. Ethan trusted that horse more than he trusted people these days. People left, land stayed. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow with the back of his hand and squinted toward the distant hills. Thunderheads gathered far off to the south, dark and heavy, but they wouldn't bring rain here, not today. The desert rarely shared its gifts equally. That's when Boone slowed, not stopped, just hesitated. Ethan frowned. Boone wasn't skittish. He didn't spook at snakes or coyotes or sudden gusts of wind. When Boone hesitated, it meant something was wrong. Easy, boy, Ethan murmured, loosening the reins. What is it? Boone took one careful step forward, then another. His ears tilted ahead, locked on something Ethan couldn't yet see. Then Ethan saw it. At first, he thought it was a bundle of cloth half buried in sand, maybe debris blown in from somewhere else. The desert had a way of collecting forgotten things. But then the bundle moved. Just barely. Ethan's chest tightened. He slid down from the saddle, boots crunching softly against gravel and dry earth. The air smelled of dust and heat and something faintly metallic, blood. As he approached, the shape became clearer. It was a girl, no more than 15, maybe younger. She lay on her side, dark hair tangled and matted with sand, her breathing shallow and uneven. Her clothes were torn, stained deep red along her side. One bare foot twitched weakly, as if even that small movement cost her more than she could afford. Apache. Ethan knew immediately, not from prejudice, but from familiarity. The cut of her clothing, the beadwork broken and scattered near her hand, the pattern woven into the fabric. He had seen Apache families pass near his land before, traveling carefully, always watchful. Most settlers pretended not to see them. Some went out of their way to cause trouble. Ethan swallowed hard. This was dangerous. Helping her would mean questions. Trouble. Possibly worse. Tensions between settlers and Apache bands ran high, and no one cared much about the truth once fear took hold. A white rancher found aiding an Apache girl could quickly become a target, from both sides. But leaving her here, he knelt beside her, the ground burning through his trousers. Up close, her condition was worse than he'd feared. A deep wound cut across her ribs, hastily bound with a strip of cloth that had long since soaked through. Her lips were cracked, her skin hot with fever. She wasn't going to survive another hour in this heat. Ethan exhaled slowly. I don't reckon the desert cares about politics, he muttered to himself. Carefully, he slid an arm beneath her shoulders. She stirred at the contact, a weak sound escaping her throat. Her eyes fluttered open. Dark, glassy, unfocused. But when they landed on his face, fear sparked instantly. She tried to push away. No, she rasped, the word barely audible. Please. Her hand fumbled at his shirt, not in attack, but desperation. Easy, Ethan said gently, his voice low. I'm not here to hurt you. She shook her head faintly, panic rising. Don't. Take me back. Back. The word carried weight. Ethan didn't ask questions. He had learned long ago that some answers came too late to matter. I'm taking you somewhere safe, he said. That's all. Her strength faded quickly. Her head fell against his chest, and her breathing grew more ragged. Ethan lifted her fully then, surprised by how light she was. Too light. A child's weight. Boone stood patiently as Ethan secured her carefully across the saddle, patting her wounds as best he could with his own coat. As he mounted, Ethan scanned the horizon. Nothing moved. No riders. No dust clouds. Still, he urged Boone into a faster pace. The ride back felt longer than it was. The sun dipped lower, painting the desert in deep gold and red. The girl moaned softly once, then went still. Ethan checked her pulse at every pause, fear clawing at his chest when it fluttered weakly beneath his fingers. You hold on, he murmured, more prayer than command. Just a little longer. When the ranch house finally came into view, a weathered structure of wood and stone, sitting alone against the vast land, relief hit him so hard his knees nearly gave out. He dismounted quickly, carrying the girl inside. The house smelled of leather, coffee, and dust. It was simple, functional, one main room, a small bedroom, a wash basin near the back. Ethan laid her gently on his bed, the only place clean and shaded enough. He worked quickly but carefully, cutting away the blood-soaked cloth, cleaning the wound with boiled water and whiskey. She flinched weakly, a tear slipping from the corner of her eye, but she didn't scream. Strong, even now. When he finished, he wrapped her side with clean bandages and pressed a damp cloth to her forehead. Her fever burned against his hand. "She's going to need more than luck," he whispered. Night fell quietly. Crickets began their song. The desert cooled, but tension thickened the air inside the small house. Ethan sat in a chair near the bed, rifle within reach, not because he feared the girl, but because he knew what might come looking for her. Apache families did not leave their children behind. And if she had been attacked, they would be searching. Sometime past midnight, she stirred again. Her eyes opened more fully this time, clearer, though pain still shadowed them. She looked around, confusion tightening her features, then she saw Ethan. She froze. He didn't move, didn't reach for her. "You're safe," he said softly. "You're on my ranch." Her gaze flicked to the bandages, the clean sheets, the lantern light. Slowly, tension drained from her shoulders, replaced by exhaustion. "My mother," she whispered. Ethan leaned forward. "She's looking for you." A faint nod. Fear returned, sharper now. "She will think I am dead." That sentence landed heavier than any accusation. "We'll make sure she knows you're alive," Ethan said. "I swear it." Tears slid silently down the girl's temples. She turned her face toward the wall, breath hitching. Ethan sat back, heart pounding. He didn't know how yet, but he knew this wasn't the end of it. Outside, far beyond the ranch, a signal fire burned briefly against the dark hills, seen by eyes trained to notice such things. The Apache mother had begun her search, and before this night was over, words would be spoken that would change Ethan Cole's life forever. The first sound Ethan heard was not a shout. It was the horses, low, controlled hoofbeats rolling across the earth like distant thunder, measured, disciplined, deliberate. Not the reckless charge of raiders. Not the wandering pace of travelers. A search party. Ethan woke instantly, hand already on his rifle. The lantern on the table still burned low, casting long shadows across the walls. Outside, the desert night had gone eerily still, as if even the wind was holding its breath. He crossed the room in 2 steps and peered through the narrow window. They came from the east. 6 riders, maybe 7. Apache warriors, faces unreadable in the moonlight, moving in a loose half-circle that spread as they approached the ranch. Their horses were strong, silent, trained for exactly this kind of movement. No wasted motion, no fear. They were not here by accident. Ethan's pulse thudded in his ears. Behind him, on the bed, the girl stirred. She sat up with a sharp gasp, pain forgotten as recognition flooded her eyes. She struggled to rise, wincing as the bandages pulled tight across her ribs. "They are here," she whispered. Ethan turned quickly. "You need to lie back down." "No," she said, voice trembling but firm. "My mother will come." He hesitated. "Your mother?" The girl nodded. "She will not wait." As if summoned by the words, a single rider separated from the group and approached the house alone. It was a woman. She rode without hesitation, her posture straight, her presence unmistakable even at a distance. Long dark hair braided with bone and leather fell down her back. Her clothing bore the marks of long travel, dust, sweat, blood, but she carried herself like someone who had already survived worse. She stopped 20 yards from the house and dismounted slowly. The warriors remained where they were, watching, waiting. Ethan stepped onto the porch, rifle held low but visible. He did not aim it. That would be a mistake. The woman lifted her chin and met his gaze. Her eyes were sharp, dark, and burning, not with rage, but with something colder. "Resolve. You have my daughter," she said. Not a question. Her English was careful, accented but strong. Ethan nodded once. "She's inside. She's alive." Something flickered across the woman's face. Not relief. Control. She took one step closer. Show me. Ethan hesitated for half a second, then stepped aside and gestured toward the open door. She's hurt bad. I did what I could. The woman entered without another word. Inside, the air felt suddenly smaller. The girl pushed herself upright as her mother crossed the room. For the first time since Ethan had found her, she smiled. Mother, she whispered. The woman reached her in 3 strides and knelt beside the bed, hands moving with practiced care, touching her daughter's face, her hair, the bandages. She murmured words in Apache, low and urgent, her forehead resting briefly against the girl's. Only then did she close her eyes. Only then did the tightness in her shoulders ease. When she stood, she turned slowly to face Ethan. The room felt charged now, like the moment before a storm breaks. You saved her, the woman said. Ethan nodded again. I found her in the desert. She wouldn't have made it. That is true, the woman replied. Others left her to die. Ethan said nothing. Silence stretched between them, thick and dangerous. Outside, the warriors shifted slightly, hands resting near weapons. Boone snorted softly in the corral. The woman studied Ethan as if weighing him, not as a man, but as a choice. Finally, she spoke. My name is Ayanna. Ethan swallowed. Ethan Cole. Ayanna inclined her head. Not respect, not submission. Acknowledgement. You did not have to help her, Ayanna said. You knew the risk. I did, Ethan replied. Then why? The question cut straight through him. Ethan looked toward the girl, who had fallen asleep again, exhaustion finally claiming her. He thought of the heat. The blood. The way her fingers had clutched his shirt. I couldn't leave her, he said quietly. That's all. Ayanna's gaze sharpened. No, she said. That is not all. She stepped closer until only a few feet separated them. Many men say they could not leave her. Fewer act. Ethan met her eyes. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to listen, Ayanna said. She reached into a small pouch at her waist and withdrew a piece of carved bone. Smooth, worn with age, marked with symbols Ethan did not understand. My daughter is promised, she said. Ethan stiffened. Promised. To life, Ayanna continued calmly. Not to death in the sand. She held up the bone. This is a debt marker. Among my people, when a life is saved, a bond is formed. Ethan frowned. I didn't do it for payment. Ayanna nodded. I know. She took another step closer. That is why the bond is stronger. The words settled heavy in the air. Ethan's stomach tightened. What kind of bond? Ayanna's voice lowered. One that cannot be ignored. Outside, one of the warriors let out a low call, a signal. Ayanna did not turn. You are alone, she said. Your land is wide, but your bloodline ends with you. Ethan's breath caught. He hadn't told her that. My people are watched, Ayanna continued. Hunted. Our children taken or killed. Tonight, my daughter lives because of you. She looked him straight in the eyes. So now, your life is tied to ours. Ethan shook his head slightly. You don't understand. Oh, I understand very well, Ayanna interrupted. You think this is danger. She gestured toward the door, toward the armed men waiting patiently in the dark. This is protection. Ethan stared at her. You saved my child, Ayanna said. In return, you will not stand alone again. A long moment passed. Ethan felt something shift inside him. Fear, yes, but also something else. Something unfamiliar. Belonging. What exactly are you saying? He asked carefully. Ayanna's expression softened. Just slightly. When my daughter heals, she said, she will not return to a world that tried to kill her. Ethan's heart began to pound. She will stay here, Ayanna continued. With you. The words hit him like a blow. No, Ethan said instantly. I can't. She's just a girl. She is Apache, Ayanna said firmly. And she chooses her path. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. This isn't right. Ayanna held his gaze. It is necessary. She turned toward the bed, placing a hand gently on her daughter's shoulder. My daughter will grow, Ayanna said. And one day, she will lead. But she will live because of you. She turned back. And you, she added, will live because of her. Ethan felt the weight of it then. The future pressing down on him, reshaping everything he thought he knew about his quiet, solitary life. Outside, the warriors mounted their horses. Ayanna moved toward the door. I will return when she is strong enough to travel, she said. Until then, You guard her with your life. Ethan swallowed hard. And if someone comes looking for trouble? Ayanna paused at the threshold. Then they will answer to me. She stepped into the night. The riders turned and vanished into the desert as silently as they had come. Ethan stood alone in the doorway, the echoes of her words ringing in his ears. Inside, the girl slept peacefully for the first time. And Ethan Cole knew, without question, that the life he had lived until this night was already over.